So, welcome to Samhain, not Samhain, Samhain, and the blue moon, full moon in Taurus, which is pretty auspicious. We don't get blue moons that often. There's a reason there's a phrase, once in a blue moon. Once in a blue moon on Samhain is a particularly rare occurrence and one that's really exciting. So the moon is actually going to be full tomorrow at 2:30 or 2:50, I think, 2:51. And the Samhain experience, although it really starts today, officially kicks off at sunset on Samhain itself, which is tomorrow. So traditionally the day will be celebrated actually on the 1st of November. So for anyone who is in the Newquay area and would like to come and do this all over again by the time we're done tonight, if that's not enough for you, then please do come along on Sunday afternoon, 4 p.m. We're going to be in a hall right in the centre of town. So if you're interested, there's a couple, I think there's 2 spots left. It's a bigger hall than usual, so you have a few more people, which is nice. So drop me a note if you'd like to come along and do the vibrations in person. But this is really exciting. I was setting up the room earlier and my partner was like, wow, it's like the good old days of early lockdown when we were in here every day and it was just session after session, and I really missed it. I missed you guys. So it's really nice to be back in here, which wasn't a thing I thought I'd say by July when I was worn out with the endless internet problems. But hopefully we're going to be good tonight. So just a quick check, because I can see the last couple of people are jumping in now. Hopefully you can all hear me and see me. How is everyone's connection? Is it jumping? Is the sync okay? Let me know if things are good for you. Hi Emma. Oh, I'm so glad they arrived. So yes, we will talk about that in a minute, but everyone that was expecting a package from me, I really hope it arrived today. I'm afraid I was waiting for one supplier who was a little late, which is just the way things are right now. We're all kind of really trying our best to stay on top of things. So it did mean I was a day or two later sending everything that I wanted, but I know that most of you received it, so fingers crossed you are all ready to go. So, hi Jackie, nice to see you. I'm glad it all arrived for you. Awesome. Okay, I think we're just about all here. I'm just going to double check the numbers. You're going to have to excuse me leaning in. I'm back to my basic setup, so no fancy remotes and stuff anymore. So, if everybody is ready. So I'm not sure how it's all going to work. I've turned myself around. You've got a different side of my room to before, so hopefully it's all going to be good. I'm going to open my pages so I don't forget. Welcome everybody after the opening chat. I think we're all here. My name's Jane. If I haven't seen you before, if you haven't joined me online before, then welcome. I'm so happy to have you along. We have a beautiful community both online and in person. I'm based here in glorious Cornwall. It's really interesting saying that now, sat here in pitch black. I'm used to doing these sessions from here in my room with the sea outside and it being beautiful and sunny, and now we're at the other end of the year and it seems almost impossible that we were first doing these sessions together back in March, but here we are about to be in November. I'm really happy to be back online actually. We had a whole bunch of internet problems in the summer. We are not blessed with good internet. We're blessed with many things here in Cornwall, but fibre internet is not one of them, and things were becoming really hard online. So in the intervening months I've spent time not exactly rewiring the house, but doing what feels like pretty close to that. So I'm really hoping that the internet will hold for us today. If you do have any problems on the technical front while we're online together tonight, please have a look at the email I sent you the link on. There's a few notes in there. It sounds really obvious, but the bullet points I put in there is all I'll be able to tell you if I spoke to you on the phone. So please try those if there's any problems. Really casting a spell for there to be good internet for us this evening. So if you're here, you are aware that we have a mega supersonic weekend in prospect. We have Samhain, which is, as I mentioned in my sort of brief opening chat, officially begins at sunset on the 31st of October, runs all the way through the 1st. And this is a holiday or an event, a date actually in the pagan and Wiccan calendar and in the ancient Celtic calendar, which is really all about the move into the full darkness. We've been transiting out of the summer, out of Pitta season Ayurvedically, into Vata, into the dry, cold, rough air season. And now we're moving fully into the darkness. So those of you that know me will sort of hear me jump between kind of Ayurveda and yogic philosophy and Wicca and crystal Reiki and a whole bunch of other stuff. We weave it all together in these sessions so you can take and leave what connects and resonates for you. Samhain is really, it's their quarter cross festival. It's the one that comes halfway between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. So this is really where we see that shift into the shadows, into darkness. And we've all seen it here in the UK. I think most of us today are in the UK. I'm not sure, I think we've one or two in Spain maybe, but we've definitely seen this shift. Certainly in the last week here, it's become cold and dark and the clocks have changed. We're back on GMT and it just feels like it's time to get cozy, which is my favourite time of year, but then I'm a Scorpio, so I would say that. We're also, as you move through Samhain, moving through a really delicate, powerful and potent time for working with sound, which is of course the main work that I share with you all and the main focus of what we'll do here together this evening. Samhain is really a time where the veil gets so thin, and by the veil I mean that kind of almost imperceptible kind of energy between the realm of those of us in the tangible earthly world and those beyond. So sometimes we call it the Shadowlands, the other world, the past world, the afterlife. But really what's really auspicious about this time of year is this connection between all of us living, all of us beyond life as we recognise it as humans. I wrote in my newsletter today that lots of you will have received about the 1111 portal. So my birthday, I wish was 1111, it's actually 1011, so I'm slightly off by a few hours. But 1111 is this really amazing kind of auspicious number, and if you see it a lot on your clock, I mean I definitely see 1111 both opportunities every day, and I think when you do that it's really a sign of kind of awareness and heightened awareness and empathy. So if you can kind of almost train your energy to be tuned in to these kind of time portals, it's a really great way to get into your meditative state. But 1111 is, as I was writing today, when you see the two numbers 1 and 1, 1 plus 1 equals 2, and the idea is that we have our oneness, our individuality, and then two ones together makes two, makes a whole. And the 1111 portal is all about this idea of us being kind of recognizing our oneness and then our oneness within the collective. This year I think that's been so important with everything that's been going on for all of us. I think back in the early days, it seems so long ago now, March and April, there was just so much altruism and community, and people were out there buying food for their neighbours and supporting people they'd never met before, and there was this real sense of collective kind of behaviour and awareness. And as we've gone through the year, I think as we've all transited and had challenges personally and with our health and with our businesses and with survival for many of us financially, it has really changed. We've stopped, I think in lots of ways society's gone inwards again, and we've started being a little selfish again, quite capitalist and elitist and all those things that really really kind of mark what we've created for ourselves here in the West. And I think it's really interesting that as we move through this really potent season, as we move into November, the best month of the year, we have the end of Mercury retrograde at last. Mercury goes direct on the day of the US election, November the 3rd. So it's a really interesting time, I think, for this balance between oneness and wholeness. The view of the greater good versus individual success and destiny. So these are all themes that I just kind of chatter about because there's just such a lot going on right now. And I think for me, certainly as someone that spent a lot of their life in America, the election is really interesting. What's going on socially, politically, culturally in America right now, I think holds a mirror up to all of us in the developed world and our behaviours and our understanding of the world. I think it's never been an accident that all these big political things tend to happen in November. I think the 1111 portal is something that's going to open up a lot more in this country and in Europe, and I think it's a really exciting time for all of us. So if you don't know much about 1111 and numerology, do have a look at my newsletter. I can signpost you to a few other places as well. I'm continuing to chatter while I see a few more people drop in. Welcome, guys. And we're going to kick off really with a little bit of breathing to bring us into the space this evening, and then we're going to work through some conversation. I'd love you guys to jump in on the chat, to ask questions, to let me know what you're doing, how you're celebrating and marking this weekend, if there's things you'd like to know. If I'm going too fast, which often happens when I get in my flow, just remember to jump in and stop me and ask questions. I've got my laptop quite close to me, so I'll have to keep leaning in, but I'll be able to see you. And we're going to talk a bit about Samhain, the traditions, where it all comes from, how we mark it. We're going to get into some sound together, which will be the main event, about an hour and a little bit of the gongs. I haven't got all of them here, as you can see. Being back in my dinky little spare room is quite limiting, so I am desperately hoping to get a studio so we can do these through winter with a bit more expanse. And we're also going to talk about cacao, we're going to talk about tarot, about the cards for the season, we're going to build a crystal grid together, and hear about how you guys are feeling as we move into this season. So we're going to start with some conscious breathing, and if you're like me, if you've had a bit of a hectic, crazy day, I had all sorts of plans coming into this evening, and then my afternoon kind of turned left at the last minute and I was rushing to get back home to be with you this evening. So I know I'm feeling a little up here. I can hear the cat scratching at the door. I'm not sure if I've turned the oven off. So we've all got stuff in our minds, and as we come into a space together, conscious breathing is a really beautiful way to connect our body and our inner journey and start bringing ourselves into the mindset and the physical space that we want to be in to receive. So wherever you are, we'll begin by letting the eyes come to a soft close. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're holding, just put it down for a moment. Find yourself in stillness. And we're going to move around before we get into the sound, so don't worry about getting all layered and comfortable yet. We'll come back to that. Just be still for a moment and have your chest open. So if sitting cross-legged works for you, then great, but we're not in yoga, you don't need to sit in lotus or siddhasana or anything fancy. Just sit or curl up or lie in any way that works, but just make sure your lungs have room to breathe. Let your eyes come to a soft close and just observe your natural breath for a moment. So I was reading something the other day about these kind of white noise chambers. I was listening to a guy who I studied tuning forks with, and he was talking about how when he used to work actually in the defense department in the US, and they had these white noise spaces that were almost like kind of torture chambers that people would be put in before interrogation. And the silence is so profound that you can hear your blood and hear your nervous system and the sounds of the nervous system. And this is how this guy, John Bolio, came to work with tuning forks in the nervous system, because he could observe his anxiety and the changes in his energy, could literally hear the nervous system responding. So those of you that have done one-to-ones and other sessions with me will have experienced tuning forks, and they really are a powerful way to bring the nervous system into balance. But one of the ways that we can do that all by ourselves is just to come into our breath. So take a nice deep inhale and a long, sweet exhale. Breathing in, breathing into the back of the heart, the back of the body. And exhaling in full. One more time in your own time, to your own rhythm. Breathing in, feeling the lungs fill and expand, feeling the abdomen lift, feeling your shoulders lift, and your whole body grows an inch taller. And as you exhale, rather than dropping, allowing everything to soften. Move into 4-4-8. We're going to inhale in through the nose for 4, hold our breath for 4, and then exhale through the lips for 8. I'll count us in the first couple of rounds. So emptying your lungs before we begin, then together let's inhale through the nose to the count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause and hold your breath. 2, 3, and 4. Open the lips, exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Inhaling through the nose. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. One more round. Inhale, 4. And this time, as you come to hold your breath, see if you can take your inner awareness to the space between your eyebrows. Look upwards with your eyes closed. And as you exhale, let that awareness drift down to your heart, the heart center, not your anatomical heart. And see if you can do 2 more rounds by yourself. As you inhale, imagining light coming up in through the nostrils, centering itself up here in the third eye, Anya chakra. Maybe the light is white, or maybe it's purple, or maybe it's something else. Just observe, witness, no judgment here. And as you're exhaling, really let that light drift down into the heart. See if you can imagine it turning to a pinky colour, or maybe green if you prefer. And just taking a couple more rounds in that way. 4, 4, 8. Light travelling up through the nostrils, through the nadi, up to the third eye, and then down into the heart where it glows at the heart centre. Just taking a couple more rounds in your own time. And when you've completed about 5 or 6 rounds, you can let your breath come back to its natural rhythm and just spend a moment noticing what's changed. Notice if you feel calmer. Notice where your focus is at. Notice where your mind's gone. And this is such an amazing tool we use all the time in Rocket Yoga, but just such an amazing tool for just coming into peace and calm. If you're feeling that tug of anxiety anywhere in the nervous system in the body, you might feel like the beginnings of a tension headache, or just those little tingles that go through the tips of the fingers when you get anxiety. Conscious breathing is such a beautiful way to just ease yourself back into a place of calm and serenity and kind of induce the relaxation response. And in this space, we're really well prepared to think about our intention. So regardless of whether we're practicing physically on the mat in asana, or we're meditating, we're working through our ascension process, wherever we are on our meditation practice, whether we're here just for relaxation or we're here to go so much further and get into journeying, into the hallucinatory and even psychedelic states that sound work can induce, what we want to do is drive our experience with our own intention. And this is what really gives our journey wings, that allows us to expand and explore our inner landscape in the way we need at any given moment. So hopefully you have some paper to hand. If you don't, go grab some, grab a notepad, pen, pencil. If you have a journal, if you like to journal, now's a good time to flip it open. And just spend a couple of moments thinking almost instinctively about your intention. Maybe you've prepared for this evening, you've prepared for this weekend, if Samhain and the circle, the wheel are in your practice, or maybe it's just coming into your consciousness right now. It really doesn't matter. What's important is that you honour your instinct. How do you feel? Where are you at? So spend maybe just 1 minute just free writing. I really love this concept of just put the pen on the paper and start. Don't let the pen come off. Just see what comes out. How are you feeling? Where are you? What's in your mind? Maybe your intention will start to pour out onto the paper already. So just take a moment to begin that journey. And as you guys start to do that, I'm going to have a slightly noisy dig around my crystals bag, because I completely forgot to get out some of the stuff I was going to work with today. I'd like to be a touch more organised than I am. So I'll let you guys begin to find your way into your intention. It is impossibly hard to find exactly the crystals you're looking for under pressure, I have to say. There we go. Okay, everyone good? So I should take a moment to let you know what's going on with my sacred space today. We're joined this evening by the gorgeous Emma, who is so kind to support my lovely project Rock and Ritual, which many of you are part of, for which I thank you. Rock and Ritual grew actually from the beginning of lockdown, because those of you that attend live sessions with me will know that I always bring all of this stuff that's here and an awful lot more that you can't see that's behind the camera. Tons and tons of crystals and oils and sprays and toolkits and things that I use on my altar that's right here in the corner and in my studio. And you guys always get to go home with loads of that stuff. So when we had to move online, I started creating boxes that tuned into the new moon energy. Usually it's the new moon. Obviously tonight we're doing something a little different. And over lockdown, these have really grown, and this has now become a business in its own right. And in fact, we'll be launching in full on 11/11. So I urge you to jump on to rockandritual.co.uk. I will leave links in the notes for this session later on. But gorgeous Emma, to come back to my point, has a beautiful incense brand called Ume collection. She's based in London, for those of you that also are based in London. And this beautiful incense is her frankincense, Abydos. Lovely Rob, who makes all of our Rock and Ritual ceramics, created the plate. Emma also, her brand also does the dome, and this frankincense has been burning its way through my house, my teepee, my studio for several weeks now, and it is gorgeous. And frankincense is a really great scent to work with in any kind of meditation. I put in a post a few days ago on Instagram. It always reminds me of church, of being a little girl being taken to church, but it was rushing late, and the altar procession would already be halfway up the aisle, and we'd be kind of creeping into the back row, my mum pushing me and my siblings, and you always knew you were late because you could smell the frankincense where the altar boys were waving around. And it's something that's really strong in my mind and memory. And in fact, the same part of our brain that deals with memories and sound also deals with smell. So one of the reasons I work a lot with oils and with incense and sound work is that we can use these scents to help us plug into our memories and plug into our lucid dreaming state. So it's really supportive to work with scent. If you do have any incense around that's not already lit, then I encourage you to go grab some and get it going in your space now. I'm also working, as always, with my High Vibes Mist, which is my go-to space setter. And if, like me, you've come into your space a little bit frantic and heightened today and rushing around slightly, this also contains frankincense, the magic ingredient, along with rose for the heart, Palo Santo, which is a wonderful natural cleanser, and clear quartz, which is the master healer. The ones that I give to you guys have Herkimer diamond in the bottom as well. So I use this to spray on myself, on the gongs, in the whole area, just to create again that connection memory. And for me, these scents are really connected to meditation, to journeying, to allowing myself to exit my physical realm and move into the other world, which is what this evening is especially all about. So again, if you have any tools you want to introduce at this stage, please do get them out now. So a little bit on Samhain, as I mentioned, it's the cross-quarter festival, so halfway between the equinox and solstice. Traditionally, this festival it's really ancient. It goes back to the Celtic or Celtic, depending on whether you're in Scotland, Ireland or Wales, tradition. There's caves in parts of Ireland which were, have amazing, almost like hieroglyphics that tell the story of Samhain. It's also big in the Nordic traditions, the ancient Viking or Jorvik with the J traditions, and huge in Mexico and Central America. I'm sure many people now have Dia de los Muertos in their consciousness, Day of the Dead, thanks in part to all the incredible face painting and Halloween costumes that have come into public consciousness. I wrote in my newsletter today, I moved to California when I was 19, and one of the first things that happened for me there, because I moved in September, was that we had Halloween, and at the time it was just Halloween in my head. It's not a word I use anymore, but it was really interesting. I live with a lot of Mexican girls, and in South California it's really heavily influenced by Mexican culture, so there's much more approach to Dia de los Muertos there than Halloween. And it was really interesting to discover the heritage and the kind of the stories, the narratives of this particular season, which is something I suppose I hadn't been that conscious of in 90s England. In Mexico and in most of the traditions I mentioned, in the Celtic and the Wiccan tradition and pagan tradition, all of them agree that this season, this particular weekend or weekday, depending on when it falls, in this case the weekend, is where the veil is the thinnest. And the thinking is that this is when we can connect with the other world. We can reach to our ancestors, we can ask them for their guidance, for their learnings, for their wisdom to bring into our journey. So it's an opportunity to connect with, culturally we'd say, the dead, but ultimately it's to connect with other beings who are simply not in our visible consciousness. So the way the West has interpreted this is ghosts and Dracula and kind of all this kind of ghoulish paraphernalia, but actually it's really a very beautiful, gentle ceremony of connecting to ancestors and to your ancestry, to the stories, to the journey that brought you to who you are and that creates the person you are. You're part of the fabric of a long tradition of hundreds of thousands of years, which has created your DNA and brought you into this being at this time. So this season, this festival is really about honouring that journey and honouring all of those people that have walked their path in order to bring you to being right now. Asking them for wisdom, asking them for their guidance. And if you already work with spirits and spirit energy, you may already have certain aspects of ancestors that you need to connect to this weekend. If you don't, then it's a really great time to start opening that doorway with love, not fear. So Samhain has this really beautiful, energy actually of history and of kind of kinship. But it does also have that energy with kind of a bit of fear and darkness. And really that comes from the fear of the unknown. You know, death is that great unknown that no living person can tell us about. So we only have our imagination and the stories we tell ourselves, and our imagination feeds us in lucid dreaming, in meditation state, in dream state. So the invitation over this season is really to work with those energies, to work with what they present us, to use them to break down our fear and to understand that, everything is a cycle of beginnings and endings. You know, a death is followed by a rebirth, is followed by a death. This is how life and cyclical nature works. We see it every year in nature, like actually at this time of year when the leaves are falling and the trees are actually dying, they're at their most beautiful, I think. If you happen to be in the west of England and you can go to places like Western Burt Arboretum, the trees this week are their most spectacular colours. And there's an amazing quote there from someone I can never remember that I must look up. I always mean to use it in yoga, which is really all about the idea that, in death is the greatest beauty of all. The decline of the trees gives them their greatest moment. And I think the same is true of us, and certainly for women. I know we're mostly women in this circle tonight. The idea of moving through our enchantress, our wild woman phase, the 40s and 50s numerically in our life, into that crone or hag phase, actually this is where we can often find the most beauty and find the most kind of understanding and wisdom in our experience here on this earth. So Samhain is really about capturing all of these energies, particularly the ancestors. That's the big theme and the big story. It's marked often with fire. Those of you that have practiced online with me before will know that I have a well-worn tradition of setting fire to myself or things in the room. I had to take the smoke alarm out of here last time. So I'm just going for the one candle. We're going to keep it gentle. I'm not going to burn too much in here, but I encourage you to burn stuff if you have the space. If you can take me with you, take your phone, your iPad out to the garden. If you want to do this after your ceremony, make sure you've got your intentions, your journaling that you've been working on written down, and take it outside at the end. It'll be an opportunity to burn. So I'm really rambling tonight, sorry. I just haven't been in this space in front of a camera for a while, and it's just quite nice getting back into it again. For those of you that have a black spell candle, I know I sent quite a few out, kind of about 60 I think. So if you have one, I'm working with my orange one tonight just because I don't have my small holder for the black ones. But traditionally in this time of year we would work with a black candle or a red one. And these are really they're just the traditional colours, especially in the Wiccan and the Mexican traditions, which honour the dead. It's kind of a sign of reverence and respect and awareness of who we're directing our intentions and talking to. I'm working with orange just because it's my favourite colour and that's what I happen to have. But feel free to use whatever you like. It's a really good time now you've got some intentions down to light your candle and take a moment to really absorb it. Look into the centre of the flame, and this is something I do quite a lot of, is kind of candle gazing meditation. You look right into that white part just around the wick where there's no flame actually, it's just clarity. And having done a little bit of scribbling down and intention journaling already, see if you can bring your intention down to one sentence or even one word. So vision, serenity, peace, guidance, wisdom, creativity are often words that resonate. Let's see what sticks for you today. Now I'm working with an altar that's off camera only because I have such a small space in here. If I start to pile up everything in my frame, you're not going to be able to see and I won't be able to move to get to the gongs. But if you're working with an altar, awesome. If you're not, you don't need one. You can just have a space, like a bit of floor that you've assigned to work with. So you can bring your candle over towards your sacred space as you've defined it for this evening, knowing that that candle is carrying the energy of your intention for the evening. And as we're working with ancestors, this is also a really nice time to work with imagery or talismans, amulets, which represent people who've passed, whether it's people you know or an energy of a tribe or a civilization. I use a lot of turquoise during this time, and there's a particular ring I have which is really resonant with the Sulakota tribe, which is a tribe I personally resonate with through my Reiki training. I also have images of my grandparents, of my cat, of other souls who've passed that I feel really connected to, that I feel I share a guardianship with, and that I look to in my meditations. So I brought all of that imagery here into this room, and it's up here in this space with me. So if you have any of those things, please do bring them into your sacred space as well. I'm just checking, by the way, because I can just about see the chat. Do feel free to ask questions and jump in. I know I'm just rambling at you a bit because I can go for hours about sewing, and I am just really enjoying being back in a space of being online rather than in a room with you all. So please do jump in, and also please let me know if the sound continues to be okay. The one thing I can't see from here is the lights on my microphone, and I did have one incident where the mic went off mid-flow. So please jump in quickly, and I will keep checking the chat if anything pops up. So some of you will have received cacao in your packs at home, which I hope you have saved for this evening. If not, don't worry. And I have mine here in my beautiful cup. So cacao has become really prevalent in our culture here in the West, and it's really really native to Central America, to many of the tribes in both Mexico, down in Peru, also in Brazil and Colombia. The cacao I prefer to use is derived from Peru. I get it from my shaman, who I've done some training with, wonderful Rebecca. And those of you who are involved with Rock and Ritual, who buy the boxes or would like to, will have a full-size pack of that in your Scorpio box to look forward to. And that is ceremonial grade, kind of class A, incredible, would be a bad phrase, incredible cacao. The one I've sent you was also wonderful. My dear friend Emma, who is a hereditary witch based here in Cornwall, makes it. Her brand is called Sacred Space Cornwall. Give her a follow. She's huge on Instagram, has so much inspiring content to share with you, particularly at this time of year. So do check Emma out. Her cacao is really beautiful. It's what I'm drinking this evening. It's a gentle heart-opening cacao. Cacao is a heart-opening plant medicine, so we're not doing full ceremony tonight, but one of the beautiful ways to engage with this plant medicine, with this plant spirit, is to take your cacao, which you've hopefully prepared. If not, go pop the kettle on, hold it in front of your heart. Again, close your eyes, and you're really communing with the plant. We're looking to the shamanic kingdom, to the plant kingdom, in the way that so many of these cultures I work with all share that story of working with nature, working with the elements, looking to plants as medicine for healing, looking to the earth in the form of crystals and herbs for wisdom. And hold your cacao in front of your heart and thank it for opening your heart to your journey today. Opening your heart to reach to your ancestors, to have the faith, belief, strength and confidence to call out to them, to ask them for their guidance, for their wisdom, for their experience, to share with you what they have learnt. And when you're ready, you can take a few sips without spilling it on yourself. So particularly if you have Emma's cacao, it's absolutely delicious. Traditionally, it's quite thick and bitter. In the Aztec tradition, they used to sweeten it with honey and maybe a little chili for a bit of a kick, which is delicious. But it's pretty thick and bitter. And when you have full ceremonial grade cacao, 40 grams of it in ceremony, you get about that much. It's like a triple shot of espresso, and it's like, down it goes. So you can enjoy cacao in lots of different ways. Don't feel you have to take it in a very bitter way that doesn't taste delicious. But certainly quite short and dark if you're going to work with it, even in a kind of semi-ceremonial way, is really beautiful. So I'm going to reach for my lovely little drum here. It's one of my favourites. I have just realised that he's missing a foot, so I hope I can play him okay. I have to prop something underneath him. Let's just do a little test. So I'm just going to spend a moment just tinkling away on the little hang drum to give you a moment to have your cacao if you need to quickly run off and prepare it, and just to spend the last few moments before we begin to get into the sound, which we're going to move into in a few moments, just to really get your intentions clear. Remembering that we're working with ancestry, and we're going to talk in a minute about the Taurus full moon. what that means, the energy of the full moon, which is all about releasing and harvesting. So it's always a beautiful time in any full moon to think about what you've achieved, what you've learned, what you've gathered from the cycle just finishing. What are you harvesting? What are you keeping? And what are you letting go of? What is no longer serving you? What needs to be let go? What needs to be passed on? What's not for you? What do you need to give to somebody else? And what's safe for you to take forward into your season ahead? Let's move ourselves. We're just going to have a quick check of what's going on in here. You guys are all good? Thank you. All right, so we're going to have a quick look at crystal grid before we move into the gong bath. So we have so many wonderful crystals we can use over this season. So as well as Samhain, which I've talked quite a lot about, we're also coming into a blue moon, which is full tomorrow just before 3 in the afternoon here in the UK. The Taurus full moon, the hunter's moon, it's traditionally known as, is kind of almost not really the main event because of everything going on with the blueness of this moon. The fact that it's the second full moon in a month, which is what a blue moon means. The first full moon was back in October the 1st, Aries, so we've had a total bookend of the month. And the Taurus moon is a really earthy, grounding moon, and actually, though it's really auspicious for the full moon to fall on Samhain, actually the nature of it is slightly downplayed. It's slightly kind of less kind of mega superpowered than it could have been, which in some ways is probably quite good given how heightened everything is for us right now on Earth. The Taurus energy is earthy. If anyone out there is a Taurus, and I always like to hear if people have Taurus sun or moon or rising or relate to Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign that's really connected to beauty, art, creativity, to this kind of energy of kind of abundance, of enjoying the finer things in life. You know, Taurus is a sign that's really, you know, loves going out for great dinners, likes a nice champagne, drives a nice car, probably a vintage classic. And it's really an energy which is not greedy or arrogant, but just about kind of working hard and being connected to the value of good things. The moon, this particular moon, is also a micro moon, which is not as sexy and exciting as a super moon. It's the opposite of a super moon. It's actually the furthest away that the moon gets from the earth. So if you look out there tonight and tomorrow, it's going to look a lot further away than we were at the beginning of the month, where the Aries moon was big and huge, and actually the Libra new moon was very close to earth. So what this does is it means we're just slightly dialed down on the energy, which is not a bad thing. We have got a lot of energy swirling around astrologically, with a lot of retrograde planets moving still through our space. You have Mercury retrograde, so tough communications, misunderstandings, difficulty with self-expression, just things coming out wrong constantly. If anyone else has been having that vibe lately, I feel you. I've been having it constantly. We also have Mars retrograde, which is really the planet of action and doing. He doesn't go direct on November the 14th, almost the next new moon. And that energy, which has been, it's going to be over 2 months actually. It was September the 9th that Mars went retrograde. And that just means that doing is hard. You know, we can't move forward very well. We can't get things done. We're kind of just in this stasis, which, considering where we've been all year, is not that helpful. However, I've been seeing this time as a really good time for working out abundance. What's important? What do you want? What does abundance mean to you? It certainly doesn't mean what we all thought it meant back in March. So it's a really good time for using all these retrograde energies, and now this nice Taurus, earthy energy of you know, choosing how we want our life to look, to make some really good plans going forward. So as we move through November, we have a lot of activity in the first half of November, astrologically, as we move through all of these planets shifting and conjuncting and changing, the 1111 portal. We get to the next new moon, which is the Scorpio new moon on November the 15th. And to me, it feels like the energy that we're working with now is going to continue flowing for those few weeks. And in the last half of November is when stuff can really start to happen and we can release the brakes. So with that in mind, this isn't a particularly uber dark grid. I am starting with obsidian because it's essential for Samhain and for any full moon. Obsidian is a wonderful stone, highly protective, very high vibration, and it's generally said that you should only really be using it with the support of a trained crystal therapist, or with somebody else using it on you, because it can be super powerful. So we'll talk in a minute about the obsidian wands I've shared with some of you, but please be mindful they can be super powerful. So I'm starting with obsidian at the centre of the grid today. I do normally work with a point at the centre, but going a bit left field, just starting with a tumbler. And obsidian was also really important to many of the native traditions. And when we work with the hunter moon, the natives would always take out obsidian when they go out to the hunt to protect them, and also to protect the animals that they were seeking to bring back, to protect their souls as they passed over. So obsidian, beautiful place to start. We're also working with orange calcite, and as you can see, I do love orange. It's one of my favourite colours. If you can see the rest of my house, it looks pretty much like this room. Lots of orange, lots of house plants, very 70s. Orange is a colour I've always been drawn to. It's a really sacral colour. It's the colour of the second chakra, Svadhisthana, which is the seat of divine feminine. It's the seat of the water element. I have a lot of water in my chart as a Scorpio sun. I also have Mercury and a couple of other planets in Scorpio, so I find that this really resonates for me. Orange calcite is what I'm working with, and I accidentally ordered giant pebbles. So those of you that I sent ritual kits out to, hopefully have got a disproportionately enormous orange calcite. Orange calcite is, like all calcites, very clearing, clarifying and healing. Calcite is a really great crystal, a great stone to work with for just clearing away dead energy. It's like a cleanse, tone and moisturise. I really like the orange variety. It's not just because I like orange and because it's Halloween season. Orange calcite is actually about creating like happiness when clearing in transition. So I feel like, particularly as we're working with this ancestral energy of Samhain and the full moon, we're releasing what we don't need, we're harvesting what we do need. Doing this in a happy way with uplifting positive vibes is a really good thing. So we're going to pop some orange calcite onto the grid as well. I'm also working on the other stone that I've sent out to you all is red jasper, which is kind of like a darker, more orangey red. You can see these, so I can't really see on my camera's gone. Oh God. So red jasper, which is also really great for the season and really great for Taurus, because jasper is a very earthing, grounding stone. And while Samhain is the time where the veil is the thinnest and we have the most access to the other world and to get beyond the veil, actually the danger is that we can end up kind of really up here. And if some of you, like me, can find yourself quite airy and up there in the ether, up there in the spiritual realms, it can be really challenging, and this time can really send us a bit spinning out of whack, because there's just such a lot of energy around. So red jasper is really a great grounding stone. It's, you know, red rooting, root chakra, really about rooting down, grounding cord into earth, keeping you tethered when everything else is pulling you away. So it's a really nice one to use, particularly in journeying, and particularly I get a lot of people coming in who are a little bit afraid of where they might go in the sound space. So if that's you, then red jasper is a nice one to hold on to. So hopefully you can see this grid beginning to form here. I think I need to pull it in a bit so you can see it better with my orange candle. I'm also working today with carnelian, yet another orange, not just because it's orange. I'm not just trying to do a colour themed grid tonight, but carnelian is a fire stone, and actually for me this has been so important as we've moved through October. We had started off with the full moon in Aries on October the 1st, and which is a huge fire moon. It was just after Mars went retrograde, and it's all about this energy of the solar plexus, of doing, of moving forward, of action. We still have this fire energy. It's been on pause all this time, and it continues to be on pause, but we're on a real time of gestation, of planning, of visioning and reevaluating our plans. So carnelian is a really, really potent stone for getting shit done, and it's one I've been really using a lot this last month, and will continue to do. I think it's really important to make sure that we're using these big portals of astrological energy to do something, even if that something is deciding to be still and deciding to go inwards. It's really a nice energy to have, to be clear that you're choosing to do that, like you're actively stepping into that serene space. I've also got some really pretty amazonite here. I just want to read something I wrote about amazonite the other day, because this is a real like soothing, gentle, kind of stress relieving stone. I put this in the Libra Rock and Ritual box as we worked on balance and equilibrium during the last few weeks. Amazonite is just such a great stone when you're feeling super just out of whack and stressed out in general. And it's something I think is really useful as we work into kind of what's looking like a long dark winter. It's just a little splash of lightness amongst all that dark and heat. Amazonite's also really good for self-expression, and as we're reaching the last few days of this Mercury retrograde, it's really nice to be able to work back into a place where we're confident sharing our truth and speaking in our authentic voice once again. I'm adding a little fluorite also, and fluorite is this lovely kind of greeny purpley marble stone, and fluorite's really healing, really clarifying. It's a really great stone for kind of moving out of spaces that feel blocked and stuck. So one of the things that we can really work with in the energy of this full moon, of this Taurus full moon and this Samhain season, is that blockage. You know, we've got an opportunity to ask for wisdom from beyond where we are, to ask for our ancestral wisdom to help us really kind of put a rocket behind the stuff that isn't moving. And again, as we come towards the end of retrograde season, which properly ends on the 14th of November, we've had anything between 3 and 7 planets in retrograde pretty much since April. So this is the first time everything's going in one direction and we're all going forward again. It's a really good time to get that clearing fluorite energy in. I also wanted to add turquoise on here, but I was, as you saw, scrambling around and I didn't find my turquoise quick enough. I'm sure I have a few more pieces of it in here. But if you do have some turquoise to hand, I've got some lovely old native Indian turquoise here, which I love. Chinese is a lot more blue. That's usually how you can tell the difference. This is a lot greener. So turquoise, again, very ancient, being used as a protective amulet, used for travellers. It's the stone of Sagittarius. There'll be some big chunks of it coming month after next in Rock and Ritual. Turquoise is a really powerful stone for protection. It's really great to have with you on flights. You know, I always keep a piece in my car. It's just a really kind of safeguarding stone, as well as being a really good meditation stone that can help support opening the third eye and moving up into those higher ascended realms. And the last thing that I want to bring into the grid today is selenite. Got a slightly battered old piece of selenite here. Often, it's actually not often in these chunks. You're normally going to have it in more like stick shape, like fibrous sticks. So selenite, butterfingers, is a great Taurus stone. It's a stone of the moon. It's Selene, French for moon, and it's really a wonderful stone for lucid dreaming and astral travel. So if you're working into the energies of the other world, of the shadowlands, doing your shadow work, this is what we want to be doing. So I'm going to place this on a slightly erratic bit of my grid. I know you can't see amazingly well. I'm not going to get around and muck around with my camera because I'll never get it back again. But I will post a picture of this to my Instagram, and I'll drop a link into the notes of this YouTube video so that you can follow on and have a little look at that in more detail. For those of you that are working with an obsidian wand, I like to work with my heart with wands. The one I've sent you has a point on the end. Don't stab yourself. It hurts. It actually does hurt. So obsidian is actually a volcanic lava, like polished lava glass or volcanic glass. So actually it is pretty sharp. So go gentle. The way we would normally work with a wand is working, and I like to work over a chakra point or a meridian. If you have an area that's giving you some grief or tension or blockage, you can go there. Taking the rounded end, and I always touch the heart. You can work a little bit off the body if you prefer, and if you're not used to wands, that might be better. And I work in an anti-clockwise direction, drawing circles, asking whatever negative or used up energies that I no longer need to surface and be removed, to be drawn away from the body, away from my heart energy. And gradually close your eyes, and you might want to create a visual. Maybe you can imagine a black spiral coming out of your heart, or any other colour that feels better for you. And as you can get your visual going, you can start to make the circles bigger and draw them away from the body as though you're pulling something out. It's really good to do this ideally with a door or a window open as well, so this energy has somewhere to go. If you don't have a door or window open for this, either don't do it or go and open one. And also you can work with some smoke, which we'll talk about in a moment. When you're happy you've completed your extraction, turn around to the point. Remember it's sharp. And now we're going to go clockwise. Coming back into the heart, directing protective, powerful energy from the obsidian core, from the earth and earth magic. Fire into earth, into the heart, asking for protection and guidance on your journey today. If you prefer not to work with a wand, you can always just take any crystal you like and hold it in your right hand and just hold it over your heart, or just wherever you like, wherever feels good for you. Crystals are really powerful to work with. It's, I think, even more powerful when you have them placed on you and gridded in your auric field by a professional, but equally you can work with them really efficiently and effectively on your own. It's really a powerful energy to get used to, whether you're attuned or Reiki attuned or energy attuned or not. Most of us find that after sound we can feel the vibration of crystals. So it's quite nice to take a hold of whatever's speaking to you if you have something in your house. I've sent you or not, and just spend a moment connecting with it, seeing if it can connect with you, if you can speak to it, if you can feel it speak to you. And the last thing we're going to do before we move into the sound, because I'm really aware that although I did definitely build this as a 2-hour session, I've talked to you for nearly an hour, which is a lot longer than I normally do. For those of you that are new, it's normally half an hour of intro and crystals and chat before we get into the sound. So we have had a lot longer tonight, but there's been a lot to share, and I hope lots of information for you guys to absorb. But it's really important, and again, I've cleared all my crystals before beginning tonight, but it's really important that we're clearing our space, our energy field, our crystals, our tools, everything we're working with. I'm working today with this really awesome, beautiful smoke bundle made by the beautiful Louise, a friend of mine who is based in Bristol. She has a gorgeous brand called Lulabelle Wellness, which I will also supply the links to afterwards. And she's made these really beautiful herbal smudges, which I know many of you have, and I use her now to do a lot of the stuff for Rock and Ritual. These ones contain mugwort, which is the witch's herb, so a little bit of a nod to the season, which we'll talk about, and also lavender. So lavender is this beautiful kind of calming, soothing energy, and mugwort is a real assistant to lucid dreaming, to astral travel. So if you really want to get out of your head in a sound bath, I recommend a cup of mugwort tea before you begin to really support that. And that's something we will be doing on Sunday in the session if you're coming along. Meanwhile, this is usually where I set myself on fire. Do always make sure you have a smudging plate or something heat proof. Remember that real herbs are going to burn up a lot more unless they're really dry. And actually, although I do still use a lot of sage and I do still work with the same providers that I always bring stuff back from in Mexico and in Southern California, it's really nice as much as possible to work with something local, to work with herbs that are local to where you are, that are local to your energy. So so this all has been picked locally. Lou's picked it herself, which is really nice. And I really encourage you to see what's in your space. You know, hopefully we're all going to be not locked down again, but one of the great things I thought about lockdown was going for walks in your local area, getting to see bits of your whole neighbourhood that you didn't even know were there. And eventually when my partner and I got really bored talking about lockdown, walking around, we started trying to learn a lot more about the herbs and the plants in our area, which I am by no means an expert on, but I have wonderful people in my community who help me with that. So if you are working with your smoke bundle, which smells amazing, thanks Lou if you're watching, I have cleansed my crystals, as I mentioned before beginning, because it can take a while. Hopefully you can catch a little bit of this if I hold up to the light. But what we really want to do is to pass every crystal, each and every one, through the smoke. The smoke has a clearing, antibacterial, antiviral, deionizing effect that draws off negative energy. And as you cleanse the crystal and invite any energies that no longer need to be in the space, that need to be in this piece of earth magic, to depart. And you can take a moment to hold the crystal, send your energy into it, and I like to pass it through again for charging. This time adding energy into it, invoking its support. This orange calcite is all about uplifting happy energy in change, happy transitions. So I'm going to thank this energy for coming into my space today and offering me a happy transition as we move through these really exciting energies of the month ahead. So we're in this beautiful season of both beauty and death. Death is synonymous, of course, with Scorpio, the Scorpio energy, which we are now in. The last thing I'm going to do before we move into the sound, which I promise I will start in 5 minutes or so for those of you who are waiting. Let me just put this on. Is dig out the most important card of the deck. So Scorpio energy is about transformation. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. We have, amongst other cosmic activities, fairly early in November, on November the 12th, we have the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, which is the third and final of the year. These two planets have been doing a dance all year, and it's a really exciting one. Jupiter's the planet of expansion, optimism, and big growth, and Pluto, the planet of transformation, together combined to create this aligned energy, which gives us big space for moving forward. I haven't personally had a big channel on this. I do a little bit of channeling, but it's not necessarily something I share in these sessions. But a lot of the people I read and respect are saying that what they're getting from this energy is all about abundance and finances and kind of the global economy, which is really interesting when you think about where we are and some of the big world events happening right now. So this Jupiter-Pluto transition is also really tapping into that Plutonic energy of transformation, cycles of death and rebirth. As I think I mentioned earlier, every death is about a rebirth. You know, Scorpio is not just about the scorpion, but also about the phoenix. The phoenix from the flames is the other big scorpionic symbol. And if I show you, hopefully a little more closely, the Moonchild Tarot card, I'm using the lovely Moonchild Tarot by Danielle Noel again today, is a gorgeous woman, kind of like the moth, floating, drifting, dying, but then her essence is rising from her, this kind of butterfly, kind of expanding up from her collapsing form. And this is what's really interesting about Scorpionic energy. Yes, we're dark, and we like everything to be black or orange, and there's a lot of endings energy around Scorpio, but there's also a lot of rebirth and regeneration and resurrection. And so the death card, which is the one that we really work with in Scorpio season, and which is so closely aligned to Samhain and where we are this weekend, is very much about the idea not just of endings, but also of beginnings, and of the fact that endings are not full tangible endings. They're just a pause. They're just a move to a different realm, to a different world, to a different space. So I'm going to work with this card. I'm also forgot to leave everything out. Also going to spend a moment just invoking my own intention into the deck today, asking it to support me, support us, support our community as we work with the really powerful energies that are abundant this weekend, this week. Allow us all to use the tools we have, the tools we've acquired, the tools we're learning, and the tools we're looking for, to tap into this beautiful energy, this sort of dark night, this wisdom, and tuning into the deeper magic, transcending our awareness, keeping questioning, keeping moving through our own journey in this space. And one last thing I'd say is I just draw a card, very bad flip. Draw a card for us all. I'm going to choose number 11 always. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, one thing I would say is that as well as being a season of darkness, we're also in Diwali, the season of light, the festivals of light. You know, without light there is no dark, without dark there is no light. We need both. When you look at that yin and yang symbol, I always forget its name, begins with T. You need both. One is at the centre of the other, and that's what this season, this festival, this weekend, this energy, this moon is all about. The Six of Wands, such a beautiful card. Again, I'm going to take photos of these cards so you can see them clearly, and we'll talk about the Six of Wands at the end. Wands is the fire suit, sweet. And she's a really beautiful contemplative energy, very much about intellect, decisions, plans, all the stuff we talked about already. So we're going to move towards the sound now. I'm just going to spend a few moments slightly rearranging my space. So I invite you to do the same. If you have got things burning that need to be attended to, then make sure you've done that before we move deeper into the sounds this evening. I invite you to be cozy and comfortable. The wonderful thing about doing these sessions here is that, of course, you're at home, you're in your own space, which means you hopefully, I'm going to put this sort of out of shot, which means you hopefully have your comforts around you. You have pillows, you have cushions, you have eye pillows as well. You're just making sure that you've got everything you need to be comfortable, to be cozy. If you have people in your household, if like me you have cats scratching at doors, just make sure that you've either locked them in or out as you choose. Remember that it can be quite shocking if you get woken up unexpectedly during a sound session. And if you have been journaling this evening, I invite you to have one last look at your journal, just see if there's anything else you need to write down or commit to as you begin to prepare yourself for the sounds this evening. So we will be in the sound together for about an hour. It's just 8:05, and as I said, we'll be here till 9. So I hope you haven't minded me talking at you loads. I'm really surprised myself going on so long. I'm not used to just being in front of the camera again. I've been so used to being back in a space where we interact and chat a lot more. So as I said, I know you guys are all there. I can see you all, but if you do want to ask any questions before we move into the sound, now's a good time. And of course we can do that at the end as well, or you're always welcome to drop me a message privately. I will warn you, I'm going to be off for a couple of weeks after this weekend, so do get in touch this weekend if you want to ask anything. I'm just going to momentarily slightly play with the lights so it's a little bit less bright for the gongs. And I'm just offering, thank you Jackie, it's nice to be back in the space too. So I was just about to say I wanted to get someone just to let me know that you can still hear okay and that the sound hasn't changed at all. I can see you all. So finding yourself supported by earth wherever you are this evening, whether you're on a floor, on a bed. Thank you, Faye. Finding yourself comfortable in your space, choosing whatever from the tools from the altar that we've been building together to support your journey. And I forgot to say, if you were working with the black spell candle, I suggest in ceremony that you always hold this and gaze into the light as we were doing at the beginning, and then repeating your intention like a mantra, you can gently blow the candle out to allow yourself to slip into the darkness. So if you have got one of those candles, you're working with a candle, that can be a really nice kind of symbolic way to close off the light and allow yourself to slip into the shadows of the mind. visualizing your space and you're sitting still with your eyes closed, lost in thought, in meditation and stillness. And gently you become aware of a presence of an energy with you. And when you open your eyes, across from you, you see an ancestor, you see somebody maybe who you know, maybe someone that's passed, maybe a parent or a loved one, maybe a pet, or maybe you don't know them, maybe there's someone who's just come there for you, and their eyes are gentle and smiling, and so are yours, and you meet eyes, you meet gazes, and they begin to tell you their story, and you tell them yours. Together you share and laugh and learn. And then you close your eyes and you feel their energy soften and melt gold on the horizon through the trees. You take a deeper breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, and you feel your lungs fill with air, with oxygen. The trees giving you their breath and you giving them back theirs. And the light's becoming still soft but more visible now as it comes up through the trees above the tree line. And the light is coming and you emerge from the shadows, from the darkness, from your journey, from your meetings with your ancestors. And slowly you find yourself back gently finding your way back into your space, back into your natural rhythm of breath, back into your body and back into your mind, taking a few moments to notice what's happening for you right now, how you're feeling, what's intuitively in your mind, in your thoughts and in your heart. If you feel called to, it's a nice time to reach for your journal, to commit any words or instincts to paper. Perhaps just taking a moment to review what you wrote at the beginning of the session and see where you're at with that. If you're working with smoke as I am, and you can see me doing now, I always really like to smudge at the end of ceremony. Be mindful depending on what you're smudging with. You can always use oils or agua de florida, shaman's water if you have it. It's really nice to give gratitude as you smudge to all of the experiences, everything that's surfaced that you're now asking to leave your divine being, that's completed its service, that's given you everything you need. And thank it for being present, being harvested, and now you can release in the fullness of the moon everything which no longer serves or which has simply run its course in your being. Taking a few deep breaths deep into the base of the belly, deep into the heart. And we're in this auspicious, magical, powerful time of year where the veil is thin and the moon is full, and we have a constellation, a whole heavens of cosmic energy coming our way over the next few weeks. I feel the most powerful time of the year for magic, for our work, for our inner landscape and our self-exploration. And I hope you've explored your inner landscape and your subconscious and all it holds for you in your journey this evening. That we are boundless, infinite, abundant souls living in a body that's not really any of these things. And sometimes we need just a gentle reminder to slow down and reflect, and I do believe that here in the sound we have the opportunity again and again. I pulled several cards from the deck of my dear teacher Yasmin Boland. Blue moon, believe the impossible. Full moon, surrender to the divine. And full moon in Taurus, your dreams need a practical plan. And as we move gently through this powerful weekend into magical November, with all of its exciting offerings and opportunities, I really encourage all of you to use this session and use your next few days as you move out of or through Samhain and through this full moon and through this blue moon into a new month and into the final phase of what's been the strangest year, to really take this opportunity to commit to your final plans, to commit to the things you want to see done. What's 2020 going to mean to you? Is it going to be the year that time forgot, the year that we all wish hadn't happened, or are you going to be a Scorpio about it? Be the phoenix from the flames, pull the rabbit from the hat at the last moment. We have a huge opportunity over these next few weeks to do just that. Before we finish, I'm just going to share with you the reading on the Death card. And I'd like to touch one final time on all the illusions, the imagery that we have around Halloween, Samhain. It really comes, the word Samhain really comes from the kind of Hallows Eve, All Hallows Eve, the Christian tradition. You look at the kind of the etymology of the language, whichever way we choose to pronounce or celebrate these days and this season, this event, it really all comes back to the honouring of those that have passed and all that they've given us, and the light beyond death. If we choose to do that through a bunch of Dracula vampire teeth or pumpkins, that's fine, as long as we know why we're doing it. So, this is the Moonchild Tarot, for anyone that missed it, by wonderful Danielle Noel. You can find her, I think it's just at Moonchild Tarot on Instagram. This powerful card shares a profound initiation into an entirely new state of consciousness, when major shifts begin to stir within your heart or soul. When you hit rock bottom, end a relationship, decide to quit your job, or want a fresh start, this reevaluation of old patterns or beliefs may force you to eliminate the distractions you've been experiencing thus far. As the old paradigms dissolve into the background, new spaces within and around you begin to unfold. These raw turning points often mark the deepest pathways which emerge from the depths of our spirit, allowing our priorities to become crystal clear once everything else is stripped away. How have you grown, and what would you like to cultivate next? Where would you like to go from here? So if you have been journaling or writing in any way to create closure, to mark the fullness of the moon, the Samhain season, the season of death and of closures and endings, I really recommend that you now take one last look at what you've written and then tear it up. And if you can put it into the flames without setting fire to yourself or your house, then please do so. If you're likely to upset your neighbours with a smoke alarm, then hold on until you're ready to go outside and commit the ashes back to the earth, as we all shall be. If you've been working with an obsidian wand, it can be really nice at this time to repeat the practice we did earlier, moving in an anti-clockwise direction around the heart, working back to your intention, asking any last remnants of whatever experience, relationship, chapter of life that you're now ready to leave behind, to gently lift out of the auric field and then invite them away from the body. Turn the wand around and moving in a clockwise direction. Welcome in the protective, powerful, potent forces of this season. All the wisdom you've taken and absorbed from your journey this evening, bringing it back into your heart. I thank you all so much for your presence, for your energy, for your time. As usual, I'm phenomenally over, quite a lot over. I'm sure not everyone stayed, but thank you for those of you that have. Thank you for all of you for being here. It is my honour and privilege to share all of these teachings and work and experiences with you, and particularly the sound is my passion to allow people the opportunity to explore and meditate and journey with the gongs, which are one of the most ancient and powerful tools that we have at our disposal in the world. So thank you for exploring with me. The internet seems to have been really stable. I'd really love those of you who are here to jump into the chat and just let me know how you are, let me know your thoughts. If you'd rather not comment publicly, you can always drop me an email. You have my details from the one I sent you earlier. I think if the internet's good enough, we will get back to some onlines weekly from mid-November onwards. So do let me know what you think if you'd like to join those. If you're in Cornwall, live sessions have resumed in some shape and form. We're pretty much sold out till Christmas. I think we have one space left for the new moon in Sagittarius, which is December the 12th. There'll probably be a solstice. Solstice is going to be mega epically powerful this year, a really important day. So We'll be doing something for solstice around the 21st of December, and there's a few other special events dotted in, some lovely collaborations with wonderful women in there as well. So if you would like to be in touch and would like to come and visit Cornwall, hang out, come and make circle with us, do make sure you're on my newsletter, which you can find at the website silenceandnoise.co.uk. 1111, that power portal, is going to be a big day for me. It is the first day of my 40s, first day of my 5th decade. I can't think of a better day or time, 11:11 in the morning, to launch both websites. So the new Silence and Noise website with its new booking system and new resource library for all the questions you asked me the most will launch that day, as will rockandritual.co.uk, where you can buy all of the tools and sprays and cacao and crystals, and we'll be doing tuning forks and some kind of rudimentary sound tools to get you guys playing your own sound at home. And we'll be launching that on November the 11th for your shopping pleasure, as well as the continued subscription boxes, the moon boxes, which go out every new moon. Thank you so much again for being here. I'm going to just hang out online for a few moments more because I've not had a chance to be able to read you very closely from here. And I wish you all a beautiful blue moon and a beautiful Samhain season. Namaste. Thank you guys. I forgot to tell you to blow your candle out if you hadn't. Mostly so I don't burn myself. Oh, good. Thank you, Faye. That's so lovely to hear. I'm really glad you could feel the energy through the internet. We've always managed to have pretty great energy through these sessions, so I'm really happy that you've been able to feel that too, and I hope you get to come to a session soon. I dropped you an email with some information. Jackie, thank you for being back here again. It's so nice to be able to reconnect with all of these lovely online sessions, and I have had new internet. I got new internet installed over the summer after all the hassle in the spring, so I'm really hopeful that we can carry on now. Emma, thank you. So glad you stayed for all of it. Thank you ever so much, and thank you for the gorgeous incense. I've had such epic feedback from everybody, so I will be giving you a shout soon for some more. Amber, thank you, Amber. Thank you for always being there with the boxes as well. I'm so grateful you keep subscribing. I hope you love the new one. Oh, Ruth, thank you. Good to know on internet. I was really a bit nervous because it's so busy in Cornwall, and even though I've got new internet, I still rely on 4G. So it's really a worry when it's really busy here, and it's so touristy right now. But yeah, I think it looked alright from my end, so fingers crossed. Thanks ever so much. Thank you guys. I'm going to jump off in a moment. If you do need to be in touch, you know where I am. Have a beautiful weekend.